Another function that's really helpful is to use the alerts. So the alerts are basically similar to Outlook messages that you can send for yourself or reminders, so to do different things at different times. The good thing about alerts is that it has a history to it. Unlike Outlook messages, it doesn't really, have that history anywhere else. When you create an alert, it keeps a record of all the alerts you've created, okay? These ones are my received alerts, which means other people have sent me messages that will show up here. If I've created messages and I've sent it to people, it will show up under generated alerts. If an alert has been read or acknowledged, you will have a check mark saying that Tracy read this and Janet read this. Okay, Robin has not read this, so it will leave it as still being active. Okay, but the minute the person actually reads it, it will turn into a check mark. Okay, so this is history for you to say that this person has read your message. At the same time, this person will know that I read his message because it will also keep track record of when that was done.
Will it say that they read it or that you read it only if you acknowledge it?
Exactly.
So if you don't acknowledge it, it'll just show that they didn't read it?
Yes. Okay. So for example, if you create an alert, okay, you have the option to schedule the actual time of the alert. So if you're going to create an alert for yourself for 2 days from now because there's a rush for a particular client, then you can change the date to the 19th. And then you can even set the actual time that you want the alert to pop up. So if you know at 3 o'clock is when the results are going to be available, then you can set an alert for 2:45. Oh, sorry.
Is this Central Standard Time?
This will be whatever location you're in. So for your time, it will be in Chicago, Central Time. For me, it will be in my Eastern Time. Okay? So I'm setting it up for 2:45 p.m. the next in 2 days from now for the alert to pop up and let me know what to do. Okay, you can pick a list of people to receive the alerts. So for yourself, I can set the alert to myself, but let's say that I also want to send it to, I don't know, Janet. So her last name is Pino, so I'm going to look for Janet and I'm going to put it. So this way, this alert will not only pop up for me, it will also pop up for Janet as well. Okay? Now you can put in whatever message you want. If on the other hand you decide, Janet is going to be away, you can remove Janet from getting the alert. Okay? The message itself can be whatever you want it to be. It is limited in characters, but up until, it'll stop when it runs out of space. So up until then, you can set reminders. When you are sending alerts, it is best to be as specific as possible. Oh, there we go. Adrian has sent an alert. So like you said, it will pop up and it will not go away unless I actually acknowledge the hello. I reschedule it to do it another time, or if I close it. If I close it, every 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to pop back on my screen. So it can be quite annoying, which is why you have to be very careful not to send alerts willy-nilly in that sense of it, because especially for lab people, they're doing a lot of things and on the go. To have something pop up every 5 minutes would be a very distracting thing. Okay?
What's the contact grayed out portion?
Oh, that would be for the contact manager, but we don't use that anymore, so you don't have to worry about it. But in the old LIMS, when we were using Lab Tracker, all the CRM information was entered into a place that was called a contact manager. And then you could link the alert to that contact manager. So if there was anything specific you wanted done, you would click on the contact and it would put you back to that contact manager information that you have put in. Okay?
Shadi, can you spend just a couple minutes on the contact manager? Because I know the lab still uses
Yeah.
them on certain accounts.
Okay, sure.
So just they're aware that it exists.
Okay. So for this one, I either have to respond to Adrian, so I can say hi back, right? And then I can acknowledge it. What that means is that when Adrian gets the pop-up, it's going to be my message back to Adrian. So he will see my message of saying hi back to him. Okay? In the same sense, if you enter something to say, can you make sure that lab ID this has been sent out for the rush sodium today, if you are speaking to one particular lab person and they told you go ahead and send me an alert, then they can respond back to you saying yes, it was sent out at 3 p.m. and then you will see that pop-up alert. Okay, so similar to a chat, this is a way that there is traceability, that it's going to keep popping up until they actually take action. Okay, a chat they can just close and they don't have to worry about it. But this alert is one that keeps popping up. When it comes to lab, I would always ask them before sending them the alert. So if you are talking to a lab person and saying, can I get a rush on this sample? And they say, yes, I can have the sample out for you in tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Just ask them, is it okay for me to send you an alert just as a reminder so that you'll know exactly when we need to send it out? And they'll say, sure, send me the alert. Then you can send it to that person, let's say a couple of hours before 4 o'clock, just to say, just a reminder that at 4 p.m. this lab ID needs to be released for sodium. So you can definitely use that. And like I said, you can always use it to remind yourself of things. Majority of the time, my group uses the alerts to remind themselves, not other people. Okay? So you can always say, remove contact, Dave Masters from Nest 10 on June 1st, 2017 as he will be retiring. Okay? So, if you know something is going to happen, but you don't have to do it right now, you have to do it at that time frame, this is the best way to do it. Send a reminder to yourself, make it for May 31st at whatever time you want it to be, and then you would close it as acknowledgement and a response required and read receipt. Well, I wouldn't put response required and read receipt, and then you press OK. Now that will sit in my box until May 31st. On May 31st, it will pop up and tell me, Cheyenne, don't forget to remove this person. They're no longer with this company.
Can you delete them if it's not needed anymore?
You can't delete them. That's the only problem, because of the history of it, we can't delete it.
Can you acknowledge it faster if it's sent to yourself? Since you created it, can you go into the details and change it somehow so that it doesn't
No.
pop up?
So you can't, the problem with these alerts is you cannot modify it in any way, shape, or form once it's been created, okay? So if, for example, I've created this and now I made a mistake and I want to go and change this to May 39th, or sorry, May 3rd, right? And then I try to acknowledge it, it won't. Right? Reschedule, it will not take those changes. It'll defer back to the original requirement. So be very careful when you're doing it. I mean, if you made a mistake, then just do another one. And then all you have to do is when this pops up, just acknowledge it to get it out of your screen. Okay? So now it says that I've read this because it popped up with that information. So I'm just going to close this and close. Okay. So a lot of times what you can do is set these alerts as reminders to yourself to be able to do different functions. Okay, so I always say if there's rush samples you don't want to forget about, put it in as an alert for yourself. Then you'll know at 3 o'clock, check to make sure that this lab ID went out. I'm just going to copy and paste the lab ID and see if it went out. If it didn't, my first call is to the client to say, I know that the results haven't come out. let me just verify with the lab what's going on and kind of thing, and follow up. You can always set it for earlier and then follow up with the lab before the 3 o'clock. Again, it's up to you on what you feel comfortable, but this is a way for you to be able to track all the things that you've promised a client, okay? And not be able to. Also, if you're going on vacation and your backup has to do certain things and you've already promised some stuff for the clients, again, you can set these alerts for your backup so that they'll know to do certain things on certain days and certain times, okay? If there is a weekly report that you need to run for a client or a monthly report that you need to run for a client, I would just create one alert and then keep rescheduling it for the next month, okay? And that way, every month on that particular day, it'll keep popping up for you.
This isn't specific to what we're sending, right?
No. Well, yes, it is. Because if you're sending it to, like, for example, I have Cheyenne and Cheyenne ML. So if I'm putting it in under Cheyenne, it will only pop up when I'm logged under Cheyenne, like S, not ML.
So, like...
You can send it to all of the alerts if you want, but it's just a lot of pop-ups, right?
Yeah, what if, like, I need to assign it to someone and they wouldn't regularly go into that lens?
I would use the one that they're regularly in.
It's hard to figure out.
But again, I don't think alerts should be used for other people. Majority of the time, use it for yourself, okay? The labs, again, depends on whether they don't want to get the alerts or not. I know some lab supervisors who are like, do not send me an alert. And there's others who are like, yeah, go ahead, send me a reminder so then I'll remember to do something. So, you know, it works both ways. You don't want it to become a nuisance because you're thinking, oh, it's just me sending an alert. But what if all 50 CCRs are sending alert to that person? They will go bonkers looking at how many alerts are popping up asking them to do things. So you have to be very careful with alerts. This, like I said, a majority of the time it makes more sense to do it for your own reminder because it's more in your face, especially if you have to do something. It will keep popping up every 5 minutes. Even if you close it, it will pop up again saying, please do this, right? So it does help to make it more of a reminder. So, I mean, there's different ones, like you can look here to see, can you make sure that the Lilly samples for protein, fat, and sodium go out today? It's in the late day dashboard. Sure, I'll follow up with the lab. Just ways for them to be able to know if you forget to do something, you can send the alert even from home as long as you have Lab Tracker, and it'll pop up for that person to do something. And this will pop up as soon as they log on to Lab Tracker. Okay, so it's not like they have to be in their emails or on their phones or anything. Everyone's in Lab Tracker all the time, right? So the minute they log in, it's going to pop up for them and they can respond back to you as well. Okay? Okay.